Hello, everybody. I'm Sage with SportsBrosWorld.com, coming to you today to bring you Sage's 7. These are my Sage's 7 picks for sleepers in the 2015 Fantasy Baseball catcher category. This is a position where, like we talked on the podcast last week, if you don't get the top tier, top 5 to top 10, you're going to be in the doghouse in most situations. So keep that in mind. This is a position you probably want to stash a guy that's pretty decent. So I'll start at the top. Not much of a sleeper, but again, I think we're going to be talking about him contending with Posey next year. My buddy, partner in crime, Timbo Slice, is a lot higher on him than I am, but I still think he's going to be a huge impact at catcher, and that is Yan Gomes in Cleveland. This guy, his numbers are just amazing. Since he came up, he has steadily improved. He is hitting the ball, he's playing great defensive catcher, and really, they look to be putting all their marbles in one sack, per se. He is going to be their catcher. They've moved Santana, and he was the main guy. So there's a reason they want both those bats in the lineup, and I believe Yan Gomes is going to be there for a ton of games. They're going to play him as much as he can, basically. So keep that in mind. He's definitely my number one on this list. Number two, Yadier Molina. This is a guy coming off an injury. People kind of forget about you when you're out for most of the year. Yadi is great defensively. I think in that lineup he is still going to produce some hits. He's a clutch hitter. He's going to hit for average. He's not going to light the world on fire numbers-wise, but in a very, very shallow position, I think he is a very good bet and a solid performer. He's going to be there most of the year, and they're going to play him, if nothing else, for defensive purposes, so you're going to get numbers, period. Number three is Rosario in Colorado. He is a guy that has basically steadily developed, but in the same sense, he's had injuries to deal with. They want him in the lineup. They're already talking about putting him, first base, left field. They're going to find a spot for this guy. He launches the ball. And at Coors, if you're a power hitter, you're going to put up numbers. If he stays healthy, look for Rosario to be a top-notch, top-tier catcher this year. Number four, Russell Martin. Made the move to Toronto. That's a launching pad up there. I think this guy is a good hitter, period. And he's going to have a lot of bats around him. He's going to get some pitches to hit, and he's going to hit them. So keep that in mind. Blue Jay on a list of sleepers. What a shocker. Launching pad up in Toronto. My next one on the list is Salvador Perez. This guy, for the Royals, people may know him a little bit more now. He was an all-star last year. He, went to the World Series. Name's getting out there a little more. But I think this guy is definitely going to be in that top 10 catchers. So keep your eye out. There's going to be that first wave of catchers. Once Posey goes, somebody's going to reach, take whoever, whether it's Gomes or Lucroy or whoever, and then there's going to be a little wave. And then there might even be a second wave, and Salvador Perez may be in that third. So keep him in mind. Good, solid catcher. He's a guy that, not necessarily a five-tool caliber player, but he can run too, so he might steal you a base here and there too. He's going to get some doubles, and he'll have some decent offensive numbers at the end of the year. My number six is Jared Saltalamacchia. The last two on this list are purely based on if you're looking after the top 20, there's a reason. Whether it's an injury, you need a good backup, you're playing Buster Posey at first instead of at catcher, blah, blah, blah. There's several reasons. But Saltalamacchia is a decent hitter, and he's going to be in a decent lineup, and he is their number one catcher. He's going to be there playing a ton of games. So purely based on numbers, he's bound to produce something. So keep that in mind. Last one is Vasquez for the Red Sox. I talked about this a little bit on the podcast, but same situation as Saltalamacchia. He's a solid hitter. He's been compared to Yadier Molina as far as defensively Vasquez is. And if he can just put together that bat in that lineup, if he can hit a single once a game, obviously not once a game, but throw a single in there every so often, and he's going to have runners on in front of him. He's probably going to be batting 7th or 8th in a lineup that is packed full of guys that are going to get on base. Solid on-base percentage guys in front of him. He's probably going to be batting behind Napoli or Sandoval. And those guys are batting behind, Hanley Ramirez and Ortiz. And those guys are probably batting behind Pedroia and Betts, or Bogarts. So this guy, he's got a solid lineup in front of him. If he can put together some singles, even just get on base, period, he's going to have a great offensive year, RBI-wise, and they're going to keep him in the lineup, period. So, purely based on numbers, he's a solid pick. So, there's my Sage of 7 sleepers at the catcher position in 2015 fantasy baseball. If you have any questions, feel free to email us, tweet at us, whatever, check in on Facebook, send us a line, whatever. Obviously, follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, you know the routine. Check out the website, check out the podcast, and I'll see you guys here soon on the podcast or next week with some more sleepers. Thank you.